Thank you all for joining us for another edition of Tech Talks by CMiC. Today we have joining us Mr. Brandon Rawlins, who's a product manager of analytics at CMiC. Thank you for joining us today, Brendan.
No problem. Happy to be here.
Thanks. So I thought I'd just get started to learn a little bit about yourself. Would love to hear how you got started in the world of analytics and reporting, particularly as it relates to your current role at CMiC.
Yeah, so that's actually an interesting story. I went to school. I went to university to become a teacher, and I happen to know people at CMIC. So during the summers in university of 4-month summer, so I was a summer intern at CMIC for, I think I did it for six summers. So every year, like my first year at CMIC, I was doing very just data entry, basic things. But then every year they gave me more and more responsibilities. So I learned the software, I learned the industry, and became really familiar with all things CMIC. And then university ended. I applied to become a teacher, and I actually didn't get hired anywhere. It was really tough, a really tough job market at that time. But because I had all the experience working at CMIC, I actually got hired doing report conversions at CMIC. So I was kind of doing Jasper report conversions. We were converting them from Oracle reports to Jasper reports. So that kind of got me into reporting and reporting tools and how those are useful. But we actually at that time at CMIC didn't even have anything like associated with analytics at all. It was just reporting. Reporting was the only form of analytics. So that was kind of how I got started. And then a few months later, I actually got a call from the I guess the school board that I applied to, and they offered me a job. So I had this decision: do I continue what I'm doing, which I loved, or do I go teach math and phys ed? Math and phys ed is what I wanted to teach. And so I decided to go do what I did, go do what I went to school for. So I actually taught for 10 years, and then actually more than 10 years, almost 11 years. But then a job opening came up at CMIC, and it was similar to what I was doing, the reporting stuff, but it actually incorporated more analytics, and that was really exciting for me because I kind of, as I said, I taught math, so I love numbers. I loved the reporting. But I loved kind of the way the world was going in terms of analytics.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah,
That's quite the story.
yeah,
I know a lot of people have had to pivot, and that's a great characteristic to have. And I love the fact that people who love numbers are really shining and not just hiding behind the numbers, but they're
yeah,
really comfortable talking about them and sharing them. And
yeah.
it's a great time to be alive. Um, awesome. So, what skills do you think are essential for someone looking to build a career in data analytics?
Yeah. So you mentioned the numbers. I don't want it to sound like it's just all number focused, but I loved just myself personally. I'll take a personal spin. Myself growing up, I had just a fascination with baseball, playing baseball and watching baseball. And baseball was a sport that it's very data driven. So it's all about like your batting average, your statistics, your there's many different metrics that people look at in baseball. And this sounds like a very surface level example, but baseball actually kind of changed the game in sports in terms of analytics. There's actually a movie called Moneyball. Brad Pitt was in there, and it was all about just using analytics and data from the baseball game and using that to drive your decisions on which players you wanted to draft or which types of trades you wanted to make or whatever. So it was all data. They would just take data from games and use that to inform all their decisions. And I thought that was fascinating, just being a big sports fan, a baseball fan. And then fast forward a little bit, that was kind of happening everywhere in every industry. And in the construction industry, where the margins are very, very razor thin, The ability to kind of report and analyze every metric and every little bit of data was becoming increasingly important in the industry. So I just I think in order to answer the initial question, I think you just have to have um, just a love and a desire to learn and kind of push what's happening to the next level. So take your statistics, take your data that you have, and see what you can gain from that, and just have an open mind with some of these things, because numbers and data are a lot of fun, but what you can do with those numbers and data is where it really gets interesting.
That's awesome. I
Yeah,
learned something new because I did not know that about baseball.
yeah,
Um, I think what's also interesting, just to add to that, is the fact that, previously a lot of these kind of data related fields were, pretty much your programmers or things like that. But now there's like a spectrum of um, strengths you can have, and not everybody has to code to be good with data,
right.
right? So I find that really fascinating.
Yeah.
I think now the glasses are going to come on. Um, so just honing in a little bit more, what would you say are the biggest advancements in terms of software development in recent months? Again, particularly as it relates to analytics and reporting within the construction software space.
Yeah, so that's actually an interesting question, because back about a decade ago or more, um, the only thing people really used to gain insights were just basic reports. So that's where kind of the rise of Microsoft Excel, right? So you get Excel spreadsheets, and that's basically that was the world of analytics. You formulate a report. Sometimes developers or programmers would have to create them, and then you'd have all your data, and then it was up to you to kind of look at that data and decide, okay, I need to make this decision, or I need to do this, or whatever. But now I think obviously the biggest thing right now is AI. So AI has changed the game immensely in the analytics space. So not only do we have reports and do we have data, but AI now can take all of that data and essentially make decisions for you. You can look at historical data back 20, 30, 40 years and make projections, make um, kind of very informed decisions that you yourself would. I mean, I don't want to downplay the human mind, but the computational advantage that AI has over the human mind is great, just because it can do many things at once that we can't do. So it's basically taking 20 different tasks into basically making it into one.
So, do you think that most softwares then should incorporate AI into its functionality? Otherwise, it's at a competitive disadvantage?
Yeah, I would say, and I think that's happening very quickly in the software space, not just the construction software space, but everywhere. I think any software on the market right now has some form of AI, and if they don't, they're working on that right now. So it's it's one of those things where if you don't have AI, kind of an AI strategy or an AI plan in the software world, you are going to fall behind.
Yes, that's seems to be universal today.
Yeah.
Awesome. So now we're going to get a little bit even more granular, and would love to hear a little bit about CMIC actually in particular. So, in a recent session that you recently facilitated, you recommended using key AI-enabled software capabilities to have a conversation with your data.
Mhm.
To those who are new adopters or early adopters, can you please elaborate on that?
Yeah. So AI, one of the amazing things about AI, and I often think about, and I'm not that old. I wasn't alive when this happened, but when calculators were first came out, there were probably people who were skeptical, and they're like, "Oh, a calculator. I don't know if that's going to work. Like that, humans need to be doing the math. What if it's wrong or whatever?" Um, and so AI, you kind of need to gain a little bit of trust, or you need to kind of it needs to earn your trust. But once it does, you recognize, okay, it's often correct in what it's saying and what it's telling you, but also it's very efficient. But now the next thing is it actually will converse with you. So, and that's kind of what people and I'll say ChatGPT kind of changed the game, because it took AI, kind of just behind the scenes AI tasks, that were done, and we kind of really didn't really know about them. So like different features, like anything could be AI, like a pre-authorized payment on your credit card, right? So it's just something that's a process that happens without you actually knowing it's happening. But ChatGPT now made it that we can actually have a conversation with somebody or something. It's actually funny when you're having conversations with in any AI chatbot. Um, I think most people try to be polite. They'll say, "Oh, please do this for me," or say whatever. But we don't really know who we're talking to, and or what we're talking to. But we like the ability, and we need a lot of us want the ability to have a specific conversation. So your initial question, it was just kind of like, how do you think that people, or why do you think people need the ability, or why is it powerful to have the ability to have a conversation? I think it's just it's just ease of access, right? To be able to do essentially whatever you want to do, especially in the software world. So CMiC in particular, yeah, we talked about, we've actually embedded conversational tools into our software to gain insights and to be able to converse essentially with our data in real time. So it's been really, really effective. I think it's really exciting for us, but I think, like I said, AI is everywhere. So any software company right now that exists in the world, if they're not incorporating AI, they're probably going to be falling behind.
Yeah, no, absolutely agreed. And you bring up a good point, which is that change is often met with resistance. So AI is no different. There have been other kind of technological advancements that were met with that in the past. And to your point, I feel like if you make it almost, like you said, conversational, it might actually help with that initial discomfort. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's something you're talking to as opposed to
For
something that
sure.
you have to learn.
Right.
So I find that's kind of different here versus learning Microsoft Excel formulas back in the day where you
Right.
had to buy the books and then later there was, Clippy and stuff like that. So that's very
Right.
interesting.
Yeah.
So would love to hear if you're open to share a little bit about the new AI functionality that CMIC has recently launched.
Yeah. So we actually have it's across the entire software. We've kind of launched our new feature called Ask Al. It's actually in tribute to Alan Berg, who was the founder of CMIC. And it just worked out when you write down Ask Al, it actually looks like Ask AI. It was kind of a little clever thing that they did, um, but we've now given users the ability to basically tell the software what they want it to do. And our developers are working really hard on kind of streamlining that process a little bit. But in the analytics space in particular, um, all of our data is in one place when you're working with CMIC. So if you're a construction company or general contractor, all of your data is in one place. So the power of analytics is that we have all of our data in one place, but by incorporating in a conversational exchange in analytics, you're able now to gain insights on that data by simply asking questions. It's very simple to do. It works just like you would on using any AI tool like ChatGPT. There's Microsoft Copilot, all of these. So you're able to have a conversation with the data in real time, and essentially ask it to do make projections or whatever.
So one more question, final question, because you actually did my job for me. You answered a couple of questions in between. But when you think about AI in the future, what are you most excited about?
So AI right now, and like I said, AI started kind of behind the scenes. We didn't really know what it was doing or how it was doing. It was kind of pre-programmed, kind of whatever. Now we're telling it what to do. I think the future for AI, which is really exciting, there's kind of two areas that I look at, especially in the software world, and that would be generation and automation. And it sounds a little bit scary, but the first thing is, often we want software to generate things for us, create things for us. So in natural language, asking it to create invoices, print whatever in natural language, do whatever you want it to do, whatever your software does.
So generation is honoring you have a request, you ask AI to do something, and
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
provides you the answer.
for sure. Yeah.
Essentially giving you time back. I think
Yeah.
you almost get the gift of time, because what could have taken you hours, days, weeks is now taking
Yeah.
you a fraction of the time.
Yeah.
In terms of automation,
Yeah.
what else do you see being automated in the foreseeable future?
Yeah. So automation, this is where things are, I think, going to explode in the AI world. So little things like completing your taxes or doing your month-end processes as an accountant, right? Um, all of your data is in one place. If you were able to have a conversation and say, hey, complete my month-end process right now, or do my taxes for me right now based on all of the data you have. So automation is where I think things are going to really, really explode. We kind of get a taste of having things at our fingertips, like with, I think Amazon changed the game there, in terms of products and actual physical things that we purchase. But the biggest thing for in the software world will be these automated processes that people used to have to do that are now just going to be completed for you. And with that, I think we talked about it before. With that, I think comes a little bit of weariness, as we like people doing things for us, not necessarily our computers or this magical AI tool that nobody really understands how it works. But I think the exciting thing for businesses in general is the efficiencies that they're going to notice. Like there are certain tasks that, quite frankly, a computer can do more efficiently and more accurately than we can sometimes. As much as we don't like to admit that,
Right.
that's often the case. So that's kind of where the software world is going. I would say, yeah, the generation and automation processes for AI are going to be huge.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So exciting time to be alive. So thank you again for joining us, Brendan. This was very insightful, very informative. And we hope to continue this discussion in the future.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Thanks.